James Marshall was the first person to discover gold on the western coast of America in January 1848 at Sutter's Mill. News of the discovery soon spread throughout the nation and the world. Miners of the gold, known as 49ers, not only came from America, but European, Latin American, and Asian countries as well. The 49ers established forts and camps to facilitate their quest for gold. By 1849, the rush for gold was in full effect along California's coast. The gold rush of 1849 changed the state of California forever.
The Californios were descendants of Spanish and Mexican pioneers who began to settle in California in 1759 and had a population of about 7,000 during the early 1840s. They illegally traded cattle hides to American merchant ships, but had a much larger illegal trade with Russian-American fur companies. Located in central California, Fort Ross was settled by Russians in 1812. This allowed a special trade relationship between the Californios and the Russians before the fort was sold in 1841. Johann Augustus Sutter was a Swede who settled in California in 1839 and acquired a large land grant in the Sacramento Valley, of which Sutter's fort was the center. His ranch was operated by forced Indian labor and offered valuable support for many Americans who chose to move to California over Oregon.
This fort was used partially for living quarters and partially as a supply shop, but was mostly used for Johann Augustus Sutter's cattle ranch. The American immigrants living in California did not want to conform to Spanish ways and had hopes to take over the territory. In June 1846, these Americans banded together in the town of Sonoma in the Bear Flag Revolt, declaring their independence from Mexico. However, their official independence was not confirmed until the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1849.
James Marshall was a Californian carpenter who was the first to discover gold in the form of small flakes at Sutter's Mill in 1848, which sparked a national craze for gold in California. The 49ers was the nickname for the people who left their jobs and farms in the east and headed west in search for gold. This mass movement peaked in 1849 and was dubbed the Gold Rush, because of the enormous amounts of people who traveled to California to make their fortunes in gold mining. The Chinese flocked to San Francisco at the rise of the gold rush to find a career in mining. These Chinese immigrants grouped together and established areas of Chinese cultural influence called Chinatown. Gum San, meaning Golden Mountain, was the phrase the Chinese people used to describe the endless opportunities held in California during the gold rush.
Many people found ways to earn money off of the gold rush in tactics other than mining. Levi Strauss, for example, was a German-Jewish immigrant who made a fortune selling tough work pants to miners, which eventually came to be known as blue jeans. His name is now synonymous with his product, and his brand, Levi Jeans, still exists today. Another example of a profit made from the rush was the 20-room boarding house established by Jerusha Marshall in a popular mining town, allowing her to make money off of the miners' room and board costs.
Although the California mines offered a great amount of wealth, the living conditions in the camps were very poor. Most miners lived in tents or hovels without family or relatives. These people were usually unwealthy and young, and atrocities such as prostitution, gambling, and violence regularly took place in the camps. Women in the mining camps were usually prostitutes, but others were the wives of miners and made money from doing domestic work and running boarding houses.
American miners discriminated a great deal against foreigners on the mines, especially Chinese, Mexicans, and African Americans. This discrimination was enforced through the high mining taxes on foreigners and the common robbery of gold collected by these minority groups. Permanent scars of the gold rush. The gold rush left California with a large and culturally sophisticated population, a thriving agricultural system, and a booming corporate mining industry. However, it also led to the extermination of the Indian population, the growth of racism, and the creation of unstable communities in California.
As the gold rush subsided in California, it left lasting effects. California gained a prosperous agricultural and mining industry, as well as a substantial growth in a culturally diverse population. In addition, the gold rush almost caused extinction of Californian Indians. Along with the disposition of Indians, Asian miners were often discriminated against, which caused racial tension within the state. The gold rush was a defining event for the state of California, and it altered it indefinitely.